Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Jing, and I am Michael, the founder owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. And let's take a look at your situation. I'm going to go ahead and read your email, and I will answer as I feel needed. You say, my name is Jing. I am interested in your online TOEFL course very much. So I try to find information how to be your student, and I watched How Do I Join Your Online TOEFL Course on YouTube. This makes me know that I should write an email to you before I join. Here are my answers to your 4 questions. Exactly, and the more information you give me, the better I can help you. You say, first of all, I never take the TOEFL exam before. I would just say I have never taken the TOEFL exam before. You say, I just graduated with a bachelor's degree of science in statistics at the Faculty of Commerce and Accountancy in Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. But I took some practice tests from the official guide of the TOEFL test plus the 4th edition of the Barron book. My score in the reading is around 20 and also 20 in listening, and I have not yet tried my speaking and writing because I'd like to have someone who can give feedback to me to help improve my skills. Exactly, and that's why you would join a course like this, right? I have 7 sections in my course, Jing. Vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So you can work on more than 700 lessons, and when you complete your speaking, your writing, and pronunciation exercises, you can get feedback from me, either by audio comments, by video comments, or by written comments. All right, let's keep going. You say second, I need more than 100. Wow, you say, I need more than 100 to pass the qualification or the minimum requirement of admission to study in a PhD program at Whitman School of Management at Syracuse University. Next, I plan to take the TOEFL exam on the 29th of October, and I would put here which means, not that, which means I have about 3 months for practicing and preparing, but it can be flexible up to my skills that I'm ready or not at that time. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying here. I'm thinking you're asking me that you might be more flexible in studying longer than 3 months if your English skills aren't ready when you try to take the test on October 29th. Am I right? You say, I need your help to help me practice and evaluate when is a suitable time for me to take the exam. Finally, I can have 3 hours per day to study with you after my work time. I'd like to know which course guidelines is appropriate to me or any recommendations from you to help me reach my goal. I look forward to hearing from you. Please let me know if you need any information from me. Best regards. All right, Jing. So, wow, you got a lot of stuff going on here. Now, first of all, based on the writing that I'm reading, I can tell that you have a lot of language use issues. You're having some problems with both grammar and vocabulary. Now, you also come from Thailand, which means that your pronunciation of English is going to be very different than how native speakers speak English, because your first language in Thai, you have different tonal patterns in your language, and you're not used to pronouncing the medial and the final consonant sounds in the words that you say in English. So what does that mean? You already have severe pronunciation problems. I already know. I've been teaching Thai students for 20 years, also Vietnamese students. Those 2 countries, students who come from those countries, have a lot of work they have to do before their accent becomes intelligible, which means before people can understand what you're saying in English. So you have a lot of work. So the question is, can you reach your goal in 3 months? That means, can you get 100 in 3 months based on the information you're giving me now? My best guess is probably not. I think you'll probably need longer than 3 months. But who knows? Maybe you'll prove me wrong. So here's what you want to do. First of all, do you have a pen and do you have some paper? You need to write down this information. So the comments I'm giving you right now, they are specific to you. They are specific to the email that you sent me. See what I'm saying? So I'm assuming that all the information you've given me is accurate. And that's what I base my recommendations right now. Now, first of all, my recommendation is to go through the first 3 sections of my course. That means vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. You want to do those first. What I recommend, each day you can pick a vocabulary lesson, you can do a pronunciation lesson, you can do a grammar lesson, but go through the first 3 sections of my course first. Now, here are some important things I want you to be aware of. In the vocabulary section, there is, I think it's vocabulary lesson number 3. There's an ebook that you'll be doing, and you'll be doing some reading and some listening in there. Now, I recommend, as you do the listening practice and the reading practice, you should write down in note form what you're reading and what you're listening to. And then you can also practice writing and speaking about that information in addition to studying vocabulary. So that way, even from the beginning, you're already practicing your speaking and your writing. Now, the same thing, when you go through the pronunciation lessons, and I hate to tell you, but this is probably where you need to spend the most time with your speaking. Why? Because your first language is Thai, and it's going to be really hard. You can do it. I've helped many Thai students in the past. I can help you, but it will take time. So as you go through the pronunciation lessons, I recommend that you read out loud with me as you go through the information in those videos. Now remember, at the end of most of those videos, in the pronunciation section, there's a reading passage. Now you can either read it, or you can hear me, listen to me read it. Now if you read it, again, take down notes. You can practice listening to it again, take down notes, and then you should practice speaking and writing about that information. That's good. And when you work in the grammar part of my course, I recommend that you start copying some of the sample sentences that you're studying and make sure that you're comfortable with the grammar that you're studying. Now, I'm going to give you something that you want to be aware of. I just had one of my students at California State University, San Bernardino. She completed an integrated writing practice test today. You know what she did? When she was explaining the reading passage, she simply copied exact sentences from the passage. Now, of course, that gives her a low score, even lower than 2. But why did she do that, do you think? She did that because she has no vocabulary and no grammar of her own. So she has to copy the vocabulary and the grammar that she sees. But that will always give her a very low score on the integrated writing task. All right, so once you've finished vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar, then you can move to the next 2 sections of my course, namely listening and reading. Again, remember, when you go through the listening practice test in my course, of course, you can go through and check your comprehension to see how you're doing. Your goal is to try to get between 60 and 80% on the quizzes that you take. The same thing for the reading. Now, the reading is important because it's not just reading, but you're trying to increase your reading speed to at least 300 words a minute. Now, here's my recommendation for both listening and reading sections. Again, as you listen to the lectures, you should write down some important information, and then you can practice either writing about the lecture or you can practice speaking about the lecture. So you want to make sure as you go through my course, you're comfortable speaking and writing about what you read and what you listen to. Now, when you go to the reading section of my course, you'll be doing some speed reading tests. First of all, do them for your reading speed practice. But then you can go through the reading passages again, read them, take down some notes, and then practice speaking and writing about that information. That's going to be good. Now we've finished the listening and the reading parts of my course. Finally, by the grace of God, you're now ready to start the speaking and writing portions of my course. Now, my guess is it'll probably take you more than 3 months before you get to this part of my course, because I think the first 3 months you should be posting a lot of pronunciation practice at my TOEFL speaking group, and I'll give you feedback in those areas. But of course, when you get to the writing and the speaking parts of my course, that's when you start doing independent and integrated writing and speaking practice tests, and you'll get feedback from me. So that's kind of what you should do is first of all focus on the first 3 sections of my course, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Once you've done that, then focus on the listening and the reading parts of my course as I suggested, and then you can move to the writing and the speaking components of my course. Now here's what you can do. I'm looking at your message right now. So my advice is, in about 3 months, of course you can check your progress. So before you take the TOEFL on the 29th, I recommend that you take an online full-length IBT practice test. At my website, I have a link that will send you to another website, and it does cost some extra money, I'll be honest with you. It costs about $34, but with the discount maybe it's around $30. But you can take an online TOEFL IBT practice test. It takes 5 hours, and you get subtotals in the reading, listening, speaking, and writing sections. That's right. You have to complete 6 speaking tasks. And then somebody independent of my website, it's better to get 2 opinions. I will be giving you opinions of your speaking and writing in my course. But when you take this full-length IBT practice test, you'll get an independent opinion from another IBT writing and speaking specialist who will score all 6 of your speaking tasks. He or she will also score 2 of your writing tasks, and then you'll get some subtotals, and then you can get an overall score. And then, of course, Jing, the $64,000 question is this. Here's the question. So once you take the practice test, the question is, how close are you to your goal of 100? So when you take that practice test in about 3 months, if your score is around 80 or 85, that means you need more time. Definitely you need more time. And if your score is between 95 and 105, that means that you're really close to reaching your goal, and maybe it's time to pay $200 and take the TOEFL IBT exam. You see how it works? This is kind of how my online TOEFL course works. Imagine having an online TOEFL course with hundreds and hundreds of language building exercises, all designed to help you improve your academic English language abilities. And then what you can do in a month or so, then you can take a full-length IBT practice test to see what your improvements are and where you are. If you take the full-length IBT practice test, 3 things are going to happen, obviously. Number 1, you're going to get a score, an overall score, and you get reading, listening, speaking, and writing subtotal scores. That's going to happen, of course. Number 2, you'll get more familiar with the structure and the format of the TOEFL exam, which is also good. Number 3, many people don't think about this, but you get used to taking an English test that is 5 hours long. A lot of people don't do that before the TOEFL exam. They take a lot of short practice tests to see their progress, but they haven't practiced taking an English test for 5 hours, and they lose their concentration. So by taking the practice test, you develop the stamina, the strength, and the concentration needed for this type of English examination. You see what we're saying? And there you go. Those are my comments for you. My recommendation is, I gave you here a lot of information. I apologize. I've spoken to you now for 13 minutes. You may want to watch this video maybe once a week for the next month, so then you can remind yourself of what your study plan is and how you need to proceed to reach your goal. Remember, this is very important, that as you're going through my online course lessons, you're not just doing all the practice tests, but remember what I said? You're trying to take down in note form the main points and the most important supporting points of the reading and the listening passages, and then you're practicing writing and speaking about that information. All right? Anyway, thank you very much, and all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success. I really hope you reach your score of 100 as soon as possible. It is my mission to help you do that.